okay, well, that's what I wanted, but there's reasons why that didn't happen. I'll go into it. Don't worry.
Yeah, you will get into it.
Yeah, I'll get into it.
Welcome back. It's episode 2 of The House Divided from Home. I'm Kevin.
I'm Chris.
New York Boston Sports Rivalry right here on 98.1 FM WQAQ. As always, you can find us every Wednesdays right here on YouTube. We're going to be here for the time being. Unfortunately, because of the current pandemic, we cannot be inside of the studio. So we're going to be doing this. But we love it. You know, we had a good turnaround first episode about 2 weeks ago with Anthony Gower from the Stop and Pop podcast. Go and check it out on our YouTube channel. It is known as The House Divided. Go ahead. We had a decent number of views, trying to get that up always. If you have any questions, any topics, any comments you want to tell us, by all means, go follow us on Twitter at The House Divide 1, at ZarefNovek1, at SportsFan1928. Those are our tags. That's us. Chris Cohen does a lot of talking. I do a lot of reporting. The House Divided does a mixture of both. It's Kevin. It's Chris. It's the boys. Go and check us out. We're always there.
We got a special guest in the house today. Gabe Vino goes to Rutgers. Great buddy of mine. Big Seahawks fan. We're gonna ask him later on who he wants in the draft, and we'll get into that. How's it going, Gabe?
Pretty good. Thank you guys for having me here. I'm excited to talk about the upcoming NFL draft, especially since, honestly, we have nothing else to do. Might as well have a draft because there are no other upcoming sports events for us to get excited about. So this is pretty exciting. Of course, I like NFL draft on most years, but this year it's just a whole new level of hype. There's nothing else to do. Everyone's going to be watching. The ratings are going to be really high. Should be a good draft.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Said it right there. Obviously, the draft is tomorrow, so it's NFL Draft Eve today. But the NFL has been making a lot of moves. A lot of teams have been doing their own thing. They've been making trades here and then. Obviously, the trade that everybody's talking about is the retired, quote-unquote, unretired tight end for the New England Patriots, former tight end for the New England Patriots, Rob Gronkowski, getting traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, along with a 7th-rounder in exchange for a 4th-round pick. Chris Cohen, oh man, tell me, are you happy or disappointed? I think you were disappointed.
Well, it depends. When I first heard that he was getting traded, I was hoping we could get O.J. Howard in a 2nd-rounder. Then as you remove yourself from it, you realize Gronk was not going to play with the Patriots, so the Patriots had absolutely no leverage. He hates Bill. He wouldn't come back because of Bill. He would only play for Tom wherever Tom ended up going.
So,
Little technical difficulty right there.
Yeah.
Kev, you want to go first?
Do you want me to go first?
I'll just summarize what I said because did you hear it?
I heard the first part, not the second.
All right, quick summary. You have no leverage. He's only going to play with Tom. You got a 4th-rounder instead of nothing. Better than nothing. And you could use that draft as extra capital to trade up.
Okay, I understood. That I just laughed when I saw a 4th-rounder, and then Chris tweeted out, "You got to be kidding me," or something along those lines. It made me really happy because Chris's prediction was very incorrect. They didn't get a player for Gronk. They didn't get a high enough draft pick for Gronk. Understandably, he is retired, but then again, he's 30 years old. And, you know, people this day and age, at that age, they're still athletic. So I would think Gronkowski would still hold his reputation as one of the best tight ends in the league. Especially reuniting with Tom Brady. He's got 78 touchdowns with that guy. It's 5th all-time quarterback to receiver and total touchdowns, you know. Being that Gronk is so kind of young for his age as a tight end, and Brady wants to play for as long as however he wants to play, that dude is obviously going to be very dangerous. the return on Gronk, I don't really think that he's worth a fourth rounder. I do think the Patriots could have done a lot better in terms of negotiating. But no, Chris, you're right. A fourth rounder is a fourth rounder, and tomorrow is the draft, and anything can happen.
Yeah.
Patriots are looking to go up possibly in the draft to get a quarterback. There have been a lot of rumors. I know Chris is praying in his bed every night with his mom and stuff like that.
Why's my mom in my bed?
Yeah, every night. Christian, gotta go. Catholic, you like to pray a lot. So, and I know you're praying about tomorrow because you want that quarterback. But it's gonna be tough to see. It's gonna be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots trade that fourth rounder, and obviously a couple other picks for a top 10, top 20 spot in the draft to get their guy. It's not a Patriots thing to do, but it is a Patriots thing to get a franchise quarterback. I don't think Jared Stidham's gonna cut it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Patriots use that wisely, or if they're going to stick with their fourth rounder and get a quarterback then, like they did Tom Brady X amount of years ago. So we'll definitely see how that plays out.
Hey, what do you think about the Gronk trade?
I mean, as you said, he wasn't going to play for the Patriots. It seems like he didn't like Bill's system. There are a lot of players who get sick of that system over time, and at some point they want to leave. It's understandable. I think that he definitely has at least 2 good years in Tampa, just because he's 30. But at the same time, he hasn't played in the NFL for a full year. It might take a while for him to get back to full fitness, and with no OTAs and reduced practices because of the pandemic, that's definitely gonna be a struggle for him. For Tom Brady specifically, like that's obviously Gronk is a great security blanket, but the fact that Gronk still has to get up to speed might mean that early in the season he won't be the Gronk that we expect him to be. So I'm thinking like second half of the first season, and then in the second season on the Buccaneers, I think Gronk will be a pretty good player. He doesn't need to be the best tight end in the league. He just needs to make a few big plays that win them the close games, and that's about it. I think they have enough weapons to not need to rely on Gronk.
Yeah, you also need to realize that the Buccaneers also have O.J. Howard as another tight end. So they're really comfortable with him in that position. He's actually very successful for the Buccaneers, being their number one tight end. So it's going to be interesting. Bruce Arians is going to try and maneuver both of them into a system where Tom Brady really is going to be favoring, no offense, OJ, but he's going to be favoring Gronk a lot more than OJ. And you bring a good point. OTAs aren't really here. So I think it's safe to say that a lot of people aren't going to be, fitness level NFL ready before the season starts. But, Gronk has been doing his thing. He's been getting his athleticism up, He's been doing a little bit of stunts with WWE. And now he's the 24/7 champion, which means he has to defend that title anywhere, any place. So he's doing his thing. He's trying to stay as athletic as possible. But, keep in mind, if he is not athletically capable at the moment to be on that level again, you might start seeing something where Tom Brady is going to be throwing to O.J. Howard a lot more than Rob Gronkowski. So that's going to be an interesting relation to see. Okay, Chris, you just okay, cool. That's it. If you're going to sleep during my shtick, fine.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah. What do you call that?
Just remember what Brady did when he had 2 great tight ends. Unstoppable. As I've said before, the Patriots are going to win the NFC South. I said it before they got Gronk, and I'll just say it again. They're going to win the NFC South. Just add Gronk, just further proves my point.
Okay.
Have a great day. New Orleans ain't going to do it.
All right. We'll see. We'll definitely see.
Yeah. NFL draft, eh?
Let's not get into that. Yeah. Big day tomorrow.
Yeah, we got 3 different teams. We got I like the Pats. Kev's got the Giants. Gabe's got Seattle. So we got 3 whole different wants and what we want to see happen. So who wants to start this? Okay, who wants to start this one off?
Gabe, how your Seahawks?
Yeah, sure. So my Seahawks, for some odd reason, just don't want to protect Russell Wilson. And yeah, I know that Russell Wilson can run around and he can get away from defensive linemen much better than most quarterbacks can. But at some point, you need to still give him some sort of protection. So I'm hoping that we can get somebody either on the offensive or the defensive line in the first round, because the defensive line is another problem for us. Last year, especially against a team like San Francisco, that was pretty good on both lines, especially on the defensive line. We struggled to control the line of scrimmage, and I really think that if we're going to get someone in the first round, if we don't trade down as we always do, we should definitely go for somebody on either side of the line. I think there are better players on the defensive side, so like a defensive end, maybe not a defensive tackle, but more like outside pass rusher. But an offensive line would be great too.
Yeah, there's a lot of stock for offensive linemen in the draft. Justin Wirfs from Iowa. He's one of the best.
We're not going to get him because we're not going to trade up. So I don't think we'll get someone that good.
I'm just saying this is one of the most stacked draft classes in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm saying even if you don't get a guy like Tristan Wirfs, you're gonna get a pretty decent offensive lineman no matter where he comes from, in the first round, because this is a really good draft class. But yeah, no, you mentioned it. The offensive line, they haven't really paid a lot for that offensive line because of the agility of Russell Wilson. At times he shows that he doesn't really need an offensive lineman. But then again, all quarterbacks need it. And they don't really have the money there to do it because they do pay it towards other things. So I think investing in an offensive lineman would be smart. They do tend to trade down, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But hey, who knows? It's the NFL draft. They could trade up for all we know, give a couple more picks than they've wanted to use, and get that offensive lineman that they've wanted. That's all it is to it. And the Seahawks have, they're not a dominant defense, but they're a pretty renowned defense. They're always in the middle of the pack, top 15 and whatnot, and the pass rush, their secondary is pretty good. Obviously, their front three, they have their moments here and there, so obviously a pick there wouldn't hurt them. But I think they're just going to look at where they need more, kind of more talent, if you will. So either side of the line would be good, in my opinion. Chris is looking like I don't even know what's Chris looking.
Frozen.
Chris is frozen. It's awesome.
Oh, okay.
This is great.
Right.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, we love seeing a frozen Chris because he doesn't know what to say. No, he's having the technical difficulties. It's a rough day out there today. Gabe, how's life out there right now? How you feeling?
Pretty good. Just trying to find ways to pass the time, especially with no sports to watch. Like, I can only watch so many old sports highlights of like great moments in sports history. I can only watch that 100-yard like field goal kick return from Auburn against Alabama so many times. At some point, we'll all get tired of it. We need live sports. That's why this draft is so great. And that's why it's the only thing being talked about on any sort of sports media, because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
What do we think about the Seahawks draft stock?
O-line. I've said it the entire year. Russell Wilson's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. It's not even close. You can say Patrick Mahomes all you want, but Patrick Mahomes' O-line at least knows how to play some football. If you watch him, he's not having to scramble around. I mean, sometimes every quarterback has to, but he's not freaking running the Russian mile in a circle.
He's
every single play.
Scrambler.
Who?
Mahomes.
I don't care.
You'd never.
If you were to give me one player in the NFL right now to put on the Patriots, it'd be Russell Wilson, and it wouldn't be close.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that O-line really is where you got to start. Because your defense is, not bad, not great. So if you could just bolster up that O-line, that's give Russ more time, and then I think the rest of it just kind of falls together.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't get hopefully you don't get 3 running backs who both get injured right, or all of them get injured right before the playoffs.
That was awful.
I really thought you would have won the Super Bowl. You had a chance. You could have easily beat Green Bay. You had a chance against San Francisco, beat them once in San
Yeah, we were just a few plays away from beating Green Bay. We were that close.
I just think if you have I just think if you have Penny or even Procise, I mean, you beat Green Bay and you could beat San Francisco. And you probably would have ended up winning the division too on top of that. But, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Patriots, now that we've already discussed draft stock?
Yeah. So, what does Chris want? Number one, I want the Patriots. I want the Patriots to trade up and get Tua more than anything. That's not going to happen.
Nah, dude, you need Jordan Love.
I'm getting there. If they pick where they pick, I want them to pick Jordan Love, which they won't. So I like McKinney if he's still there. I did a mock draft, and I have a lot of people also have Dallas taking him at 21. Big, strong safety from Alabama. I would like him, but I doubt he's going to be there. But yeah, Jordan Love. I would like Tua. Been saying that since, day one. But chances of the Patriots trading up to number 3 are slim to none.
Very slim. What would they give up if they have to do that? Like, how many first rounders or second rounders would they need?
I mean, they have 13 picks now. You'd probably give up, obviously, your first. They don't have any seconds. So you'd probably give up, like, that. There's a whole, conversion chart where you could see what each draft pick is worth. I don't know. I don't really care what you got to give up to get to. I would get to just me.
Yeah, and then they go to the Super Bowl and win it again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which team do you think is the most likely to trade with the Patriots so that they can get to it? Would it be Detroit?
Detroit. I don't even think it's close. Because Miami wouldn't do it because that's in division and that would make no sense. Even though Ian tweeted out before that Miami's looking to trade up to number 3 to pick an offensive lineman. Could be a surprise first pick there from them. But then again, I mean, they have 3 first-round picks, so.
Yeah.
Jordan Love will be there in the second one. Herbert will probably be there by their second pick.
Basically.
I mean, if you're the Chargers, the only reason you trade up is to take Tua. If you're going to take Herbert, you might as well just wait back.
Yeah, I think Herbert will definitely be available at 6. Will definitely be available. No question.
No, I saw the weirdest mock draft. Who the hell? I think it was Mel Kiper or something. He had a Washington trading out of 2.
Okay, that's not happening. There's no way.
I was like, I really don't like Chase Young at all, but they're not trading at it 2. The draft really starts at pick number 3, and I think that's what's really going to be exciting to see.
Like with most drafts, you don't know who's going to go number 1. You don't know who's going to go number 2. It's all up in there. This year, okay, Joe Burrow. He's from Ohio. He's going to the Bengals, no question.
He's from Ohio.
Young, obviously, he's going to the Redskins. They already have a decent defensive line. So I think that once they have Chase Young, that would make their pass rush pretty good. And yes, their offense is awful, but at least their defense will be able to stop the good offense in their division.
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting to see. I wonder if the Lions are going to pick at 3, if Chargers are going to try to jump over the Dolphins, what the Giants are going to do. I don't know. I know what I would do if I were the Giants, but it's just me.
Yeah, what do you think the Giants should do?
Number 1, don't trade out of number 4. For God's sake. I would really like Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. That kid is a monster. Almost every expert knows that it's true, knows that they need to get that for their pass rush. They let go of Alec Ogletree, who had probably one of his worst seasons as a football player. Didn't help that linebacker core whatsoever. We had a couple of injuries that ended the season for a lot of our starters. So we didn't have a lot of linebackers. We had to sign some out of the practice squad. So that's something that we need. A necessity is our defense. Our offense is not that bad. I've been saying that since last season. The Giants are not a bad offensive team. They have good weapons. Their offensive line has gotten so much better. Comparing it to the days before, they finally have a running game. They have a pass running game, and they have a stout new quarterback who has done a lot better than people have anticipated. Daniel Jones has actually outperformed people's expectations to Dwayne Haskins. And the question next year remains, will Daniel Jones be better than Dwayne Haskins as he was last year? Because Dwayne Haskins has a new head coach. Dwayne Haskins has a new, mentor. He has actual, professional. Obviously, the coaches are professional, but the rundown that Ron Rivera has is quite stout because he's the one that got Cam Newton to get be who he is. So the Giants have no problems on their offensive side. If they were to get somebody on the offensive side, it's an offensive lineman, obviously. But I don't think they have a problem offensively. Defensively is where you need to happen. Daniel Jones is throwing for at least 3 to 4 touchdowns every week. He's done that. He can do those things. He can throw for 300 yards or 400 yards. He's already proved that. That's why Eli Manning retired when he did. It's Daniel Jones' time. It's time to develop him. He now has new coaches that can do that. So if I were the Giants front office and I'm drafting number 4, I stay drafting number 4. I get Isaiah Simmons, go into the next round of the draft for your number 4 again, probably get an offensive lineman. Or if you want, get a secondary guy because those are the guys that we need, okay? If we trade down from number 4, I will be so disappointed at the Giants because you don't need any more draft picks. You don't need them, okay? The offensive line is number 2 priority. A linebacker is number 1 priority because we had the worst pass rushing in the league last year, okay? And that is what killed us. That's what absolutely killed us. 3rd down, 3rd and longs, 3rd and short sometimes. Give up an easy run player, around the corner. Give up an easy QB scramble or a check down, right in the middle of the field. Linebackers can't get to them because they're fresh practice squad players. That's as simple as it is. So my dream, Isaiah Simmons. Has to be Isaiah Simmons.
And one point about Isaiah Simmons is he's not just a linebacker because obviously in a draft or in any discussion about football, you're going to put players into certain categories based on what you think their position. Isaiah Simmons is one of the players that just dispels that myth that a player has to be a specific position because he can literally do everything.
Mm-hmm.
He could easily be in the secondary. He could be outside linebacker, middle linebacker. He can do everything. And the league
defensive end if you wanted to.
That's true. And the league is moving towards versatile athletic players like him. And that's why some of these mock drafts that I'm looking at with a bunch of NFL.com analysts projecting that the Giants will take an offensive lineman in the first round, I think that's stupid. You can't miss on a player like Isaiah Simmons. No question about it.
No, obviously not. Those guys are talented. You're not going to get a David Bakhtiari in the fourth overall pick. That's not how it works for offensive linemen.
I can't even count how many years I've heard Giants fans complain about how bad their linebackers are. So might as well at some point get yourself a linebacker.
Yeah. I can't count how many times the Giants have picked somebody that the fans have wanted and needed and haven't gotten them. And what happens in return? Saquon Barkley, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Daniel Jones breaks franchise records in terms of rookie quarterbacks. So if, Detroit, I don't know. It's tough because you have to look at the other teams before you. The only team that would concern me is Detroit and that number 3 pick. If they trade down, which is, somewhat likely, it's a little bit concerning because if it's a different team with a different necessity, similar to the Giants, that number 3 pick could screw it over. So, that number 3 pick is really interesting to see in terms of will the Lions take Jeff Okudah to replace Darius Slay? That's going to be an interesting pick. Will the Lions trade down with a team that needs something at number 3? Will Isaiah Simmons go number 3? Who knows?
Isaiah Simmons is not going number 3.
We'll see. We'll see. It all depends. It all depends. That number 3 pick is going to be really crucial for the Giants to see if they trade down and what team they trade to, because then it'll either cement Isaiah Simmons or it'll shuffle the cards around. And the Giants, they're unpredictable. So that's me.
What are your offensive weapons again? I forget your great wide receiving core that you have.
Oh, okay. So we got Golden Tate, who is a great leader. He's done 1,000-yard.
Okay, nothing special. Keep going.
The Lions, Matthew Stafford, he's done that for multiple years. He's been their number 1 slot receiver. Sterling Shepard, very athletic. If you've seen his catches, if you see the way he plays, he doesn't get a lot of targets from Eli Manning, but the targets that he got and he catches, a huge athleticism needed there. He's very fast. He's still a developing wide receiver.
Stay healthy.
Something to rely on. You can't forget the running back Saquon Barkley. He's a great, passing running back. And they're tight end Evan Ingram. Probably
can't catch the ball. Butterfingers.
Because he's injury prone. Incorrect.
Okay.
He's a top 10 tight end. He's still developing. This is going to be his 3rd year in the league. I think he stays healthy on the field. He develops his relationship with Daniel Jones. It'll be smooth sailing. I like the kid a lot. And a lot of Giants fans like the kid. He's pretty fast for a tight end if you compare other people. So I would think of him as a key part of the offense if he stays healthy.
Seems very, very mediocre, but that's just me, I guess.
That's not mediocre. So
really sounds like it, though.
The Jets' offensive, weapons are mediocre. If you really want to compare mediocre.
Same as the Giants. Same as the Pats.
No, not even close. Not even close.
Chris, are you trying to say that the Giants should draft an offensive weapon?
No, they should draft an offensive lineman. But an offensive weapon, no. Really. If I were the Giants, I would just trade out of 4. Because you need more than just one position. Your defense.
Okay, but Isaiah Simmons is a talent that you just can't miss, especially when the Giants suck at linebacker.
Listen, I've been the biggest advocate of Simmons is going to be better than Chase Young for the longest time. But at the same time, I just think you need a lot. Like, one player's great and he's going to help, sure, but your cornerbacks are still god-awful. Your safeties are trash. You have no pass rush. Your offensive line is bass. It's like at some point you're what?
Our offensive line is not bad. It's not good. It's not bad.
Okay, if it's not good, then it's bad.
That's
necessarily true.
You have
I'm a Seahawks fan. I know what a bad offensive line is
like Arizona, right? Like they're trading. Where are they trading?
Like Houston. That's a perfect example. Their offensive line is garbage.
Well, I said Arizona, but close enough. Same difference.
I said Houston.
Yeah, well, Houston's a whole dumpster fire because Bill O'Brien's an idiot.
Yeah, so okay. No.
And he's trying to be that's an awful offensive line. Seattle has an awful offensive line. Arizona and Houston,
they're bad.
Awful.
Bad.
No. I said awful. I didn't say bad. There's a difference. Awful is worse than bad. Bad is like 20th. Awful is like 30s, which is I'm sure where Seattle, Arizona, and Houston are.
Yeah. Actually, I saw a comparison on Twitter a few weeks before the MVP voting, and some Seahawks fans were displaying some graphics of how bad Russell Wilson's offensive line is in comparison to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is first across the board in every category, and Russell Wilson's offensive line in like some categories like 27th, 30th, 31st. It's just awful across the board. So yeah, we're somewhere down there, somewhere in the bottom of offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one of those teams who just like Seattle, their whole line is just terrible. I mean,
yeah, they linemen.
in such a offensive lineman rich draft, which I can't tell you the last time I saw a draft where everyone was excited about maybe the Dolphins trading up to number 3 to draft an O-lineman and like 50 O-linemen going in the first 2 rounds. Obviously, it's an exaggeration, but you get the point. I mean, you might as well trade back and end up with 3 second-round picks because that's 3 second-round picks versus 1 first-round pick. I'd rather have 3 second-round picks. That's 3 chances you have of hitting the guy. Because you're Washington, right? What if Chase Young sucks? He's a bust.
I don't think.
I don't
know if Chase Young is a bust.
I don't think he's gonna be. I just don't think he's gonna be anything special. What the hell do I know? I'm not a draft guy. I just go by the eye test. And
yeah, we all thought Jadeveon Clowney was gonna be a bust.
I didn't say that.
One of his only highlights was him destroying a quarterback.
Yeah, he's been pretty.
That was what he was
good.
known for. That one play, Jadeveon Clowney. Everyone thought he was going to be a bust. But now look at him. He's not a bust.
Pretty good.
Really good. He's
actually if he stays healthy.
Excellent.
If he stays healthy.
You know when he's a good player? When the Seahawks actually have him rush the passer, which we didn't have him do on that last play against Green Bay. They got that crucial first down, and you could see the picture of our defensive lineup, and Jadeveon Clowney was not rushing the passer. It was almost like he was stuck in no man's land in between dropping back into coverage and rushing the passer. He was in no man's land, and he should have been rushing the passer. So I really don't know if we're going to re-sign him. It seems like we won't. And for that reason, even though this is a great offensive lineman draft, and I'd like to get a good offensive lineman like Isaiah Wilson, he's probably my number 1 offensive lineman that I like to get with the spot in the first round that we have, especially since we're not going to get Wirfs or Wills or something like that. I'd say Isaiah Wilson's my number 1. But if we don't get someone who's really elite, I think we should consider someone on the defensive line because our defensive line the quality has been pretty bad either when Jadeveon Clowney doesn't rush the passer or in the years we didn't have him. Yes, we should get an offensive lineman, but defensive line is also really important. And without a good pass rusher, our secondary is going to struggle. Because it's a good secondary, but it's not a great secondary. And they're not good enough to run around with elite wide receivers for more than 5 seconds and not get burned. They're going to get burned if we don't have a decent pass rush. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I think you might be counting your horses if you're expecting a first-round pick as a Seattle fan. They've traded out of their pick the last 7 years. Saw a stat the other day. So
yeah, but last year we traded so one thing about that stat is we traded out of our first-round pick, which was 23rd, to be the last pick in the first round. So we still picked someone in the first round. We just traded down, got an extra pick, and then the player that we picked got injured and did nothing. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I really think this is a good year for us not to trade down, even though there are a lot of great players in the early second round and mid-second round. I think that you need to get just that one elite guy who can just start right away, like Isaiah Wilson or A.J. Epinesa, another guy that I'd really like to get. A.J. Epinesa would be amazing. I know you want him, Chris. I know you want your Patriots to get him, and they'd probably destroy every offensive line in the AFC East if they did that, but I really want my Seahawks to get him. He would be a great player for us.
We'll see.
Imagine him against Arizona's awful offensive line. Oh, my God.
Poor Kyler, man. He had a good year, too.
Yeah, I feel bad for Kyler Murray. At least he's the sort of quarterback who can run around and get out of the arms of defensive linemen who are trying to bring him down. Because
now he's got D-Hop.
I mean, that offensive line just awful. I think we'll have I mean, it'll be better this year for him, and obviously he'll have another year in the system. Just that the division's so tough. I really don't know if the team's going to be that much better just because of how good the division is. Like the Rams, yes, they lost some players, but they're going to figure it out. Sean McVay's smart. I don't think San Francisco is one of those teams that goes to the Super Bowl and is awful the next year. I think they're definitely going to be a good team. Um, Obviously, my Seahawks are still going to be good because we still have Russell Wilson. It's going to be a tough year for Kyler. It's going to be better maybe, but it'll be still pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that he's got D-Hop, he's got multiple weapons now to throw to. Instead of running.
Yeah, after they shafted the Texans, stupid Bill idiot.
I agree, but like he still doesn't have that much protection unless they. I mean, even if they pick one good offensive line, and like the other side of the offensive line still not going to be that good, and it's going to be better, but it won't be easy for him to escape pressure.
That's like another team that if I was them, I would just hightail it back, and then you could get 3 offensive linemen for the price of 1.
Yeah, but think about the quality of those offensive lines.
If they're 2 second rounds and a 3rd round, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make sure that you make the right trade.
Yeah, I mean, they're like 8 overall, so they'd get you pretty high. I mean, you're not gonna find like a Quinn Nelson, who was like the Colts draft. What was it, like 4th overall or something? Guy's been a beast. Out of Notre Dame, I mean, it's just hard to find linemen like that nowadays, especially once you stay healthy. That's the problem.
Well, in that case, you just try to get the ones that weren't that injury prone in college and hope that it works out. Because if somebody's injury prone in college, they're going to be injury prone in pros. So at the very least, somebody who didn't really get injured in college gets injured in like his first year in the NFL. You can say, oh well, I mean, we tried. That player shouldn't have gotten injured, and he did. But I don't. This is the sort of draft where if you really need an offensive line, you stay in the first round. And same with defensive line. I don't think that's the same with wide receivers because there's a lot of wide receiver depth, and the drop off between one wide receiver and another, it's not that big with offensive linemen because of reduced practice time with the CBA that was passed years ago. It's harder to find offensive linemen who are like, I don't know, low first round, early second round, who are just going to be elite. Like it's harder specifically with offensive linemen. Once you find a good player, you just need to take him to the draft. If that's one of your needs, you just got to take him.
Well, I mean, especially if I'm in Arizona sitting at 8, take the O lineman at 8, and if the guy you like is still available at like 12, trade another, get another O lineman in the first round. You'll lose a lot of picks, but if that's the one spot that you need, you pick 2 guys inside the top 12. At least one of them's hypothetically going to work out for you. I mean, in such a O-line rich draft, if you need it, then you gotta get it. Because if you need
it's a bit risky, but yeah.
Because if you go into free agency and you want one, they're going to cost you an arm and a leg, like the Giants when they signed Nate Solder to some big contract. What a bunch of idiots! Like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
You don't want to end up doing that when you could draft one. I mean, it's sure picking up the 12th pick or somewhere around there is going to cost you a bunch of draft capital, but is it? I mean, if you can get 2 solid players on the O-line, I mean, that could be the difference between Seattle making the Super Bowl and losing to the Packers. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we lost that game because of the offense. It was mostly the defense.
Yeah, and you also have no running backs, and don't say Marshawn Lynch, and oh my God, he scored 2 touchdowns. Marshawn Lynch is not an NFL running back.
Okay, we're going to have all 3 of our running backs back next year.
You literally need one of them.
I know. I'm saying we have all of them. We should be fine in terms of running back. There are some people saying that Seahawks should take Jonathan Taylor.
No.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't understand why. I mean, yes, he's good, but he's not that elite of a talent that you just need to take him. Like Isaiah Simmons with the Giants, he's elite. You need to take him. But Jonathan Taylor is not that good. So maybe if he falls into like late second round, yeah, sure, but even early third. But I don't think we should take him in the first round.
I mean,
what some people are projecting.
Yeah, there's really only one running back who I think has a shot at going in the first round, and that's Swift going to Kansas City.
AC.
I mean, besides that, this is not a running back rich draft.
Dobbins are the only names that kind of pop out to me.
Running backs aren't going to win you titles. It's been proven. I mean, if the Giants are going to win a title, it'll be because of Daniel Jones, won't because of Saquon. Durability with running backs, you see that all the time now. I mean, there's also a bunch of players out there who free agents who they're trying to draft around or they're trying to trade.
Yeah.
You got the guy from Jacksonville.
Yeah, no. Running backs, they're not here.
It's not a running back draft, that's for sure.
There's a decent amount of wide receivers out there that can interest a lot of teams that need help there.
Yeah, here's my thing with wide receivers, and I've said this before.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, only out of the last 17 first-round wide receivers, there's been, what did Colin say, Gabe? There's been, like, one who's worked out, and that's been Amari Cooper. Yeah. That's literally been it. Like, it's the biggest boom or bust position in the NFL. And if I'm the Jets sitting at 11, or I think they're 11, do I take a Judy? Do I take a CeeDee Lamb? Do I take a Ruggs? I would take –
or Justin Jefferson from LSU.
I would take a lineman. I would take an O-lineman and do that instead of – because there's so many wide receivers you could get. There could be up to like 7 wide receivers in the first round if you really want to get crazy with it. I mean –
I think if you draft – if there's 7 wide receivers drafted in the first round, that's a bit much. There's a lot of depth. The thing is, there are some good players that could go in the first round, but just because they can go in the first round, as you said, they could bust. I think if you spend like a late second or a third round pick on a wide receiver, that's perfect. Because there are enough good players at like that low in the draft that you can definitely get some good value with a third round pick or late second.
Yeah.
But I agree with you about the Jets taking a tackle. I really think you need to protect Sam Darnold. You need to make sure that he doesn't get mauled by some defensive linemen and then get injured. You need to make sure that you keep him.
Make sure that he develops.
That too, because he still has a lot of development to go. Like there's still a lot of upward trajectory there. I mean, some could say he hasn't developed as quickly as they'd like him to. That's also partially because Adam Gase isn't a great coach. He hasn't had the best offensive line, to say the least. I really think that you should get a tackle. So some of the mock drafts I'm looking at say that Jedrick Wills is a possibility, Mekhi Becton. For me, Becton is just size. There's not that much technical skill there. I think Jedrick Wills is a good pick. Mekhi Becton is probably going to fall lower than where the Jets are picking in the first round. Maybe they could trade up and get him late first round or something like that. But I think Jedrick Wills is the guy they'd have to go with. They're going to get an offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of wide receivers. I don't particularly think it would be smart for the Jets if they start seeing wide receivers go off the board, if they start, thinking about trading up to another first-round pick to get a guy like Justin Jefferson or Henry Ruggs. But, there's, a solid 6 or 7 wide receivers that, would kind of remain first to second-round decent picks. And you look at Sam Darnold's kind of wide receiving core, no offense, Chris, but that is very mediocre. They didn't have a tight end. Their best
no offense, Chris.
was Robbie Anderson.
More like no offense, Chris's dad.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why would I be offended by that?
Because no offense, Chris, but the Jets' wide receiving core in general is just absolute mediocre. Garbage.
Yes, trust me, I'm a Patriots fan, and I'm all about mediocre offense or wide receiving cores.
I'm just making sure that Robbie Anderson being their best receiver and no tight end is a mediocre offense.
Yeah, that's like Julian Edelman being your top wide receiver and your tight end being a traffic cone. Trust me, I know all about that.
All right, good. Just making sure, yeah.
But like at the end,
what kind of wide receiving core cements a garbage reputation.
But at the end of the day, if you really if you're the Jets and you have your head set that you are getting a wide receiver with your first pick, trade down. If you're gonna get a lineman, you're gonna stay there and you're gonna pick him. But if you're gonna get if you're gonna get a wide receiver, just trade out of the first round because this is a very deep wide receiver draft. You already have an early second. You could get another early second and a third or something, and then there's your wide receivers. You could pick two of them because you're still gonna have Denzel Mims. I don't think he'll go in the first round.
Denzel Mims is like a third round guy.
Yeah.
So
I like him.
Okay, so since we were talking about the Jets, they pick at 48, kind of middle of the second round. I think at that point they could take someone like Brandon Ayuk. He's not a first round guy. I don't think so. And they could definitely take him in the middle of the second round if he falls them. If not, they take someone like Denzel Mims or I think there's some wide receivers who could fall. There are a lot of offensive and defensive linemen we're going to get taken early, and you're going to see some of the elite wide receivers fall a little bit because there's so much depth that the positions defensive line and offensive line where there isn't as much depth, you're going to see those positions get taken earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you're right. We can go back to last year where one DK Metcalf got a lot of praise from the NFL world. They all thought he could have gone late first round. He ended up going later than that. He's looking really good, Gabe. Looking really good in a Seahawks uniform.
Yeah, I thought he would have been a bust. He had 1 year, though. We'll see.
Well, yeah, that's the
best
thing.
quarterback in the league, mind you.
Yeah, so.
Well, there are tons of wide receivers that, despite being good players, if there are other positions with less depth in the draft, teams are going to move up. Well, even if they don't move up, they would at the very least just stay in their spots and not get the wide receiver and shore up one of their other needs. So even though wide receivers are important, you can find value in the later rounds. So I think that second and third round, that's when you start looking at wide receivers, at least for most teams.
Yeah.
There's some teams that need a Henry Ruggs, CD Lamb, or a Jerry Jeudy, but most teams don't really need that.
Yeah, I mean, I really got to agree with you on that one. I mean, I'm not going to go looking for offensive tackle with value in the third round. I'm going to go look for a running back, tight end, a wide receiver, maybe even a backup quarterback. That's when I'll go third, fourth round. But if I'm taking an O-lineman, I'm going to take him first round, early second round, because those are the positions that you really don't want to miss.
Unless you have some under the radar guy that nobody else is looking at and you really think you can develop him into an elite player.
Yeah, well,
then maybe you take him in the third round, but that's only if you've done in-depth scouting on one.
Yeah. The last player who no one really thought would go as high as they did was Mitch Trubisky, and look how that one's turning out. So, I mean, what did Chicago trade up to, 2 for him? Or 1? He was 1 or 2. I don't know.
That's 1.
2. He was 2.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
2. And then Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson got picked.
Yeah, okay.
After.
I mean,
I don't get that. I just don't. I know it's been a while. I know it's been 2 years, 3 years, but I don't know how you can see Deshaun Watson play so well at such a high level and then just not take him.
Yeah, okay. So I could see taking Trubisky over Mahomes because Mahomes, I mean, hindsight's 2020. He's a freaking baller. I mean, what am I gonna say? But I mean, even like in college, just like Deshaun Watson, you don't want to miss it. Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
Like he's the guy who I wouldn't miss from that draft. Like next year's draft, Trevor Lawrence, I wouldn't miss him. Like you're not gonna, or Justin Fields are saying is gonna be good.
Justin Fields, he's good. I don't think he's like anywhere near Trevor Lawrence. There's a huge drop off there, and maybe Justin Fields would go in like mid to late first round.
I guarantee you he's going to
early.
be top. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. I have no idea why. I think he's trash, but scouts say that. I don't know. I don't really understand. I mean, kids who do terrible in college are like, oh, this kid's the greatest. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't really see anything. Like Trevor, he's got an arm.
Yeah.
I don't really care how many more years he has. I'm just saying. He's just bad. He doesn't bounce. Like, there are quarterbacks who you see in college who bounce off the page. Joe Burrow last year bounced off the page. However, his first 3 years, the only thing he bounced off of was teams. I mean, it's like that. I think he's the biggest question mark of the draft.
Yeah, he could definitely be a bust.
He's going to Cincinnati, so he's already in the worst situation in football.
He could definitely be a bust.
He had one good year. He had Joe Judge, who's one of the best offensive. Like everything worked for him.
Judge. He had Justin Jefferson.
Now he has Tyler Boyd.
He had Thaddeus Moss.
AJ Green coming off an injury.
Oh yeah, I forgot AJ Green existed. Yeah, well, that's if AJ Green decides to play a game and doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I haven't seen AJ Green on a football field in like 10 years.
Yeah, it's been that long since I've even drafted him in my fantasy team.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
I remember that one year I had him in fantasy. Oh man, he was so good. It feels like a million years ago.
Oh man,
it feels like a million years.
Oh baby.
I mean, there's not a quarterback in this draft you look at and you go, they have no bust potential.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna see how it plays out.
I think Justin Herbert has bust potential like a lot, just because he was inaccurate in college.
I feel
If
Justin
you're
Herbert
inaccurate in college, you're not going to be accurate in the pros.
Just because of his.
That's true. On it, if I'm a GM looking at a quarterback, besides his tape, the first thing I look at is completion percentage. Yeah. That's usually the number one. Like stats, I don't really care about. Like, oh my God, he threw for 10 trillion yards. Don't really care. If his completion percentage is 50%, I mean, it's like Russell Westbrook in the NBA. He puts up triple doubles, but that's because he used to put up 47 shots a night. I mean, now look at completion percentage.
Guys, keep in mind, Herbert plays in the Pac-12. The only really elite schools that he played were Auburn first game of the season and Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. Everyone else was meh. I mean, it's the Pac-12. It's not that good of a conference. So I don't like if you have a low completion percentage in the Pac-12, I don't think you translate into being a great starting quarterback. If you have a good roster, sure, but there's limited upside there.
I don't know.
He's safer than Tua. He's safer than Tua just because of the injury issues, but there's less upside. A lot less upside.
You can say the same thing for Daniel Jones coming out of Duke. You know, he plays in the SEC. Or no, he doesn't even play. He plays in the ACC. So that's a basketball conference. North Carolina. How good is their football team? Mitch Trubisky's their entire. You could say the same thing for a guy like Daniel Jones. He went number 6. He's a starting quarterback in an NFL team, and he's throwing for an insane amount of touchdowns. People who a number that people didn't think he was ever going to reach. So quarterbacks are kind of unpredictable. You give them a few years. If they perform well, the teams they perform, it's college football at the end of the day. It's Division I. So, I understand that, you have to play a set number of colleges that have a reputation for being really good football schools in order to make assumptions because, yes, middle of the season, that's what it comes down to. If you're looking at a quarterback, that's what it comes down to. How did he do it against a Clemson in Alabama? How did he do, those kinds of teams? An Ohio State, a Michigan. You know, that's what scouters are going to look at if you want to make that assumption in middle of the season. But come the draft, it's kind of unpredictable. The only thing that I would look at if a quarterback was a boom or bust potential is, you know, this full track record. You know, Joe Burrow definitely going to go number one mainly because of his final year of college. But like Chris mentioned before, his first 3 years, he was bouncing from schools, didn't have anywhere near the numbers he had last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out because the Bengals, you know, A.J. Green, who knows if he'll touch a football field again. Joe Mixon kind of falling off face of the earth. You know, he's kind of only centerpiece of that team in terms of offense. So, you know, it's going to be tough to see how they fit in Joe Burrow to that situation.
I
feel bad for Joe Burrow. I really do.
He's one of those guys.
Playing for an unproven coach, there aren't many weapons. It's a historically crappy and frugal organization. They're not going to go and get some big name free agent to help him out. He's going to struggle. He's really going to struggle, especially with how good his division is and how good the pass rushers are. Imagine T.J. Watt just like destroying him every third play because his offensive line sucks, or that Baltimore defense, or the Cleveland defense. Like, he's going to struggle a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while for them to surround him with pieces.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It all comes down to tomorrow night. You know, it all comes down to tomorrow night. Who knows if we'll have any trades later tonight or early tomorrow morning. Any picks that get traded during the draft, that's inevitable. It always happens. But we will definitely see. Gabe, any final thoughts on the draft tomorrow?
I definitely think that offensive and defensive line are going to be the main positions to highlight for the amount of players that get taken from those positions. And after that, you'll start seeing the wide receivers go. If you're a team that needs a offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, this is the draft to do it.
Yep.
Not next year. We don't know what's going to happen next year. This year is the draft to get yourself a defensive or offensive lineman. Maybe even the linebackers. There's some good linebackers I'm looking at here. Maybe some cornerbacks later on, but mostly both sides of the line. This is your draft to boost up both sides of the line. That's what I would say to any team.
Cool. Chris?
I want a quarterback.
I want a linebacker.
There you go. Happy birthday.
There you go. Yep. There we go. Alrighty, Gabe, thank you again so much for joining us inside of the House Divided. Really appreciate you coming through, brother.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Catch us on the YouTube right here again in a couple weeks. Of course, the NFL draft is tomorrow night. We'll give it a look. It'll be a virtual draft. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated on the Twitter at the House Divide 1. We're posting, you know, updates, you know, every hour that comes through. Any new reports, they will be sent out via there. Other than that, thank you, boys. And the door is always open. Later.